2024 BYD-Atto3 versus 2024 Tesla Model Y, the medium SUV comparison. Medium SUV shoppers are spoilt for choice when it comes to electric options. Here we compare the popular BYD-Atto3 and Tesla Model Y to see which one makes sense for you. The BYD-Atto3 and Tesla Model Y are two of the most popular medium SUVs on the market. They're also the two top-selling electric SUVs in the country. But how does each compare? And which is the best EV for you? For this comparison, we've opted for the longer-range version of the BYD-Atto3. It gets a bigger battery pack that allows more driving between charges, and the entry-level rear-wheel drive version of the Tesla Model Y. Those wanting to save money can get the BYD-Atto3 with the smaller battery pack, and those wanting a lot more performance can get the dual-motor, long-range and performance versions of the Tesla Model Y. Price. One of the biggest differentiators between the two is how much they cost. The BYD-Atto3 is more affordable at $51,011 before on-road costs, or $3,000 less if you want the one with the smaller battery. The Tesla Model Y is $65,400 plus costs. Features. As for equipment, it's a close matchup. The Tesla Model Y gets 19-inch alloy wheels, while the BYD-Atto3 gets 18-inch alloys. Neither has a spare wheel. The BYD-Atto3 comes with a portable charger that plugs into a home power point and also gets a vehicle-to-load plug, which provides household power points that can tap into the car's main battery pack. The Tesla Model Y has none of that, so you have to sort a charging solution, which will usually add at least $600 to the bill. The BYD-Atto3 gets a small 5-inch digital instrument cluster while the Tesla Model Y does without, forcing the driver to glance at the edge of the main screen in the center for a speedo and other vehicle info. The Tesla Model Y fights back with a huge 15-inch central touchscreen, whereas the BYD-Atto3 gets a 12.8-inch screen, albeit one that rotates through 90 degrees to allow a choice between portrait and landscape configurations. However, when running on Apple CarPlay, the BYD-Atto3 can only have its screen in the landscape configuration. Speaking of which, the BYD-Atto3 screen incorporates Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, whereas the Tesla Model Y forces you to use inbuilt navigation, phone and music apps, all of which are nicely integrated. That seems like an oversight in the market, given those two systems are ubiquitous across most new cars. But Tesla's in-house connectivity system makes it a snip to make phone calls. Plus, the Tesla mapping is the best of any built-in navigation system, while there are apps for various music streaming services, including Spotify and Apple Music, thereby providing much of the functionality of a car with CarPlay or Auto. And for those who want more, when the car is parked, the Tesla Model Y has video streaming, various arcade games, and other trinkets that showcase the brand's emphasis on software. It's the start of an advanced in-house software system for Tesla that incorporates other surprise and delight features, such as a car dancing light show and karaoke. Both cars get a panoramic sunroof, powered tailgate, surround view camera and power adjustable front seats. The BYD-Atto3 gets heated front seats, whereas the Tesla gets heating for all 5 seats as well as a heated steering wheel. The Tesla Model Y gets dual wireless phone chargers, while the BYD-Atto3 only has one. The Tesla Model Y gets white ambient lighting around the feet of the front occupants, whereas the BYD-Atto3 gets adjustable colored ambient lighting around the doors and dash. The Tesla Model Y gets 4 USB-C chargers, 2 front, 2 back, while the BYD-Atto3 gets a USB-A and USB-C charger up front and the same in the rear. Warranty. The Tesla Model Y gets an underdone 4-year 80,000 kilometers warranty, whereas the BYD-Atto3 gets a longer 6-year, 150,000 kilometers warranty. However, there are some odd exclusions, including the multimedia system and charge port assembly, each of which only has a 3-year/60,000 km warranty. The battery pack of each is also covered by an 8-year/160,000 km warranty, with a guarantee there will be at least 70% of the original capacity available. Safety equipment. Both cars get a 5-star NCAP rating, and both were tested to the 2022 protocols. There's loads of active safety tech, including auto braking, blind spot warning and lane departure warning with steering assistance. The BYD-Atto3 adds to that with rear cross traffic alert with auto braking, but misses out on the driver drowsiness monitor that is fitted standard to the Tesla Model Y. And it doesn't take long behind the wheel of the BYD-Atto3 to realize its driver assist systems lack the maturity of those on the Tesla Model Y. The lane keep assistance is sometimes overly aggressive, and the adaptive cruise control can overreact when it detects other cars ahead. The Tesla Model Y is by no means perfect, and don't believe the advertising hype around the optional self-driving system, because the Model Y is a long way off being able to drive itself, but it's the better of the pair. That's reinforced by the ANCAP Safety Assist score, which rated the Tesla Model Y 98% and the BYD-Atto3 at 80%. BYD-Atto3 versus Tesla Model Y interiors and design. Both are technically classified as medium SUVs, but the Tesla Model Y is the larger of the two vehicles. At 4,751 mm long, it's almost 300 mm longer than the BYD-Atto3, and also has a broader cabin courtesy of a body that has an additional 46 mm to its girth. There's also an extra 170 mm between the front and rear wheels of the Tesla Model Y. You notice it as soon as you sit inside, with the Tesla Model Y far more adult-friendly in the back seat. That said, the Tesla's relatively low-slung rear seat cushion means kids won't be able to easily see past the backs of the front seats. Both are based on a bespoke EV architecture, so benefit from ideally placing key components. That also means they do without the hump running the length of the floor on ICE vehicles, so there's more foot space. And while the BYD-Atto3 is smaller, it's still fine for families with 1 or 2 children. If you've got lots of luggage, though, the Tesla Model Y is a comfortable winner. Its boot measures a generous 854 liters, part of which is a huge underfloor cavity for valuables. Plus, there's a 117-liter bucket under the bonnet of the Tesla that works perfectly for storing charging cables. The BYD-Atto3 has just 440 liters of boot space. Neither is perfect for cabin ambience, but the BYD-Atto3 looks like it's tried harder versus the minimalist design of the Tesla Model Y. Both get fake leather seats, although the ones in the BYD-Atto3 seem a little less fake under the thigh on a hot summer's day. The Tesla Model Y's wow factor is largely left to the central touchscreen and a modest strip of wood across the dash. The BYD-Atto3, on the other hand, goes hard with a dash that looks like the belly of a whale, with snazzy air vents and rubberized guitar string-like straps in the doors. Performance and handling. Whatever the number, it doesn't take long behind the wheel to establish that the bigger, heavier Tesla Model Y is making more power than the BYD-Atto3. It's slightly zippier and more enthusiastic when you call on it. That said, the BYD-Atto3 is thoroughly respectable, and has that immediacy and easily accessible pulling power that EVs do so well. The Tesla's rear drive layout also makes it easier to access all that's available from its electric motor, especially on a slippery surface. It's less likely to elicit a chirp from the tires as they fight for traction, something that can happen with the BYD-Atto3 when you drive out of a T intersection. In terms of braking regeneration, whereby the car decelerates when you lift off the accelerator, there is a marked difference. The Tesla's regenerative braking cannot be adjusted and is very aggressive, so it feels like you've pushed the brake pedal. It requires finesse with the throttle, or you can use the excellent cruise control. The BYD-Atto3's regenerative braking is more like coasting with a gentle brush of the brakes. You can dial up a higher level of regeneration, but it's still closer to mild than aggressive. Less impressive with the BYD-Atto3 is its adaptive cruise control system, which often overreacts to cars off in the distance. On a freeway with a bit of traffic whizzing around, it can be easier to take control yourself to save the unwanted braking and backing off. In terms of overall driving manners, the Tesla Model Y has a sportier demeanor. Its steering is quite direct, to the point where it requires a driver recalibration compared with most other cars.